My wife thought I was broke. She cheated, stole from me, and filed for divorce at my hospital bed when she learned I'd inherited $47 million. In court, my lawyer revealed a secret I'd kept for 8 years. She started panicking, and the verdict changed everything. The morphine was still wearing off when Claire walked into my hospital room with her lawyer. Not flowers, not a, "How are you feeling?" Not even a pretense of concern. Just her, my wife of 8 years, in a crisp white blouse I didn't recognize, and a man in a charcoal suit carrying a leather briefcase that probably cost more than our monthly mortgage. "Sign these," Claire said. She slid a stack of papers onto my lap, right over the hospital blanket. The motion was so casual, so practiced, like she was handing me a grocery list. I was still groggy. My abdomen ached where they'd removed my appendix 6 hours earlier. The IV in my arm pulled when I shifted to look at the documents. "What is this?" "Divorce papers." Her voice was flat, efficient. "I want a divorce, and I want half of everything." The words didn't process immediately. The room was too bright. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Somewhere down the hall, a machine beeped in steady rhythm. "I just had surgery," I said stupidly. "I know." She crossed her arms. "That's why I'm here. Sign them now before you die or something and complicate the estate." The lawyer, his name tag said Stevens and Associates, stepped forward. He had the kind of smile that made you want to check if your wallet was still in your pocket. "Mr. Patterson, I'm Gerald Stevens. I represent your wife in this matter. Under California community property law, Mrs. Patterson is entitled to 50% of all marital assets acquired during your marriage." He paused for effect. "Including your uncle's inheritance." My blood went cold, not because of the divorce, because of what he'd just said. "How did you—" I started. Claire's smile was thin and sharp. "Your phone, David. I've had access to your iCloud for months. The executor left you a voicemail yesterday morning at 9:47 a.m., $47 million from Uncle Richard's estate." She leaned closer. "And I'm entitled to half, $23.5 million. I stared at her, really looked at her for the first time in months, maybe years. Her makeup was flawless. Her hair, highlighted, blown out, probably cost $300 at that salon she'd started going to in February. The Cartier watch on her wrist that she'd claimed was a gift from her mom. "Sign the papers, David," she said, "or I'll make this uglier than it needs to be." I didn't sign. My hand stayed on the blanket, the pen untouched beside the papers. "Fine." She snatched the documents back. "Then I'll see you in court. And trust me, my lawyer's better than anyone you can afford." Stevens gave me a condescending nod. "We'll be in touch, Mr. Patterson." They left. The door clicked shut, and I lay there in that hospital bed, staring at the ceiling tiles while the morphine drip fed into my vein and my appendix scar throbbed under the bandages. Claire never asked how the surgery went. She never asked if I was in pain. She never asked anything except where to sign to take half of everything I had. What Claire didn't know, what her expensive lawyer didn't know, was that I'd been expecting this. Not the exact timing, not the hospital bed ambush, but the divorce itself. I'd been waiting for it since March. 3 months earlier, I'd hired a private investigator named Marcus Reeves. Marcus was 56, a former police detective turned PI, with 23 years on the force before he went private. He worked out of a small office in Glendale, and he'd been recommended by my college roommate Jake after Jake's own divorce. "She's cheating," Jake had told me over beers at our usual spot, McGinty's Pub. "I can see it, man. The late nights, the new clothes, the way she lights up when her phone buzzes. Get proof before you confront her." I'd hired Marcus the next day. "Tell me what you've noticed," Marcus had said, pulling out a yellow legal pad. I told him everything. Claire had started staying late at work 3 nights a week in January, always Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. She'd say she was catching up on projects or meeting with clients, but when I'd swing by her office once to surprise her with dinner, the parking lot was empty. Her assistant told me Claire had left at 5:30. She'd started going to the gym in the mornings, 6 a.m.s before work, something she'd never done in the 7 years I'd known her. She'd come home showered and glowing, but her gym bag never smelled like sweat. It smelled like hotel soap. Her phone was always face down now, always on silent, and when it buzzed, she'd grab it fast and walk to another room. "How long has this been going on?" Marcus asked. "Since December, maybe November. I'm not sure." "And your financial situation? Any unusual spending?" "Yeah, actually. Our joint account. She's been pulling cash. 200 here, 500 there." I thought maybe she was buying gifts or something, but I trailed off. Marcus nodded slowly. "How much total?" "I haven't added it up. Maybe a few thousand." "Add it up," he said. "Bring me bank statements going back 2 years. Credit cards too. And give me her work schedule, her boss's name, and any friends she's mentioned recently." I brought him everything the next day. It took Marcus 3 weeks to build the case. 3 weeks of surveillance, records requests, and what he called basic footwork. He called me on a Wednesday in late March. "Can you meet me at my office? I've got something you need to see." The manila envelope was thick. Inside, photographs, bank statements, phone records, and a USB drive. "Your wife is having an affair with her boss," Marcus said without preamble. "Ryan Kellerman, age 41, VP of Sales at Maverick Solutions. Married, 2 kids." He spread the photos across his desk. Claire and Ryan walking into the Sheraton on 5th Street. Timestamps, 12:47 p.m., February 14th. Claire and Ryan in his car, parked at a scenic overlook. Her hand hand on his face. Timestamp, 7:23 p.m., March 3rd. Claire and Ryan leaving a restaurant in Santa Monica, his arm around her waist. Timestamp, 9:11 p.m., March 10th. It's been going on since October, Marcus continued. 7 months. They meet during lunch hours after work and occasionally on weekends when you're out of town. My hands felt numb. There's more, Marcus said quietly. Your joint account. She's been systematically withdrawing cash and transferring money to a secondary account. An account she opened last April in both her name and Kellerman's. He showed me the statements. April, $2,000 transferred. May, $800. June, $3,200. Every month for almost a year. Total, $43,600. This account, Marcus tapped the paper, is a shared savings account. They're building a nest egg. For what? I pulled some emails from her work account, don't ask how, and found these. He opened his laptop and turned it toward me. Email from Claire to Ryan, dated February 2nd. We can't keep doing this. I want to be with you full time. Let's make a plan. Ryan's response. I know. Just a few more months. We need at least 50 grand saved before we can leave. My lawyer says the divorce will take 6 months minimum. Be patient. Another email. March 18th. Claire. Took another 2K today. He didn't notice. We're getting close. Ryan. Good girl. Keep going. We're almost there. I read them twice. Then I closed the laptop. What do you want to do? Marcus asked. I don't know yet. Most people confront immediately. But if you want my advice, document everything. Don't tip your hand. And get a lawyer before she does. I took the envelope home. I didn't confront Claire. I watched her instead. Watched her kiss me goodbye in the morning. Her smile bright and warm before she went to the gym that wasn't a gym. Watched her text during dinner. Her face lit by the blue glow of her phone while I pretended not to notice. Watched her lie about working late, about client meetings, about girls' nights that were actually hotel rooms, and I waited. Then, in late April, everything changed. My Uncle Richard died. Uncle Richard was my father's older brother, eccentric, wealthy, and estranged from most of the family for reasons no one quite understood. I'd visited him twice a year since I was a kid, mostly out of obligation, but we'd never been particularly close. When he died of a heart attack at 73, I was surprised to get a call from his attorney. Mr. Patterson, I'm calling regarding the estate of Richard Patterson. You're named as the primary beneficiary. I'm sorry, what? Your uncle left his entire estate to you, approximately $47 million, comprising real estate holdings, investments, and liquid assets. I nearly dropped the phone. There must be some mistake. No mistake. The will is clear. I'll be sending you documentation this week. We'll need to schedule a meeting to discuss the transfer process. I hung up. Sat in my car in the grocery store parking lot. $47 million. I didn't tell Claire. Not that night at dinner when she asked how my day was. Not the next morning when the executor's office left a voicemail at 9:47 a.m. confirming the inheritance. Not that weekend when she spent Saturday shopping with friends and came home at 11 p.m. smelling like men's cologne. I didn't tell her because I knew exactly what would happen. She'd want half. She'd lawyer up immediately. She'd take the money and disappear with Ryan Kellerman to start their new life. But here's the thing Claire didn't know. Here's the detail her expensive lawyer didn't uncover. My Uncle Richard didn't just die in April. My Uncle Richard died 8 years ago. The same week Claire and I got married. I'd received the original inheritance notification 6 days before our wedding. The executor at the time, a different attorney, since retired, had called to inform me that Richard had passed away suddenly and left everything to me. The estate was valued at $41 million then, before 8 years of growth. What should I do? I'd asked him. 26 years old and overwhelmed. Put it in a trust, he'd advised. Keep it separate from any marital assets if you're getting married soon. That way it remains your separate property under California law. You can access it whenever you want, but it won't be subject to community property division if things go south. I'd followed his advice, created an irrevocable trust, never touched the money, lived on my software engineer salary, comfortable but not lavish. Never told Claire about the trust because, honestly, I'd forgotten about it, not the money itself, but the specific legal structure, the timing. I'd been so focused on the wedding, on starting our life together, that the inheritance had faded into background noise, until Marcus's investigation reminded me that secrets matter, until Claire walked into my hospital room with divorce papers and a demand for $23.5 million. That's when I remembered, and that's when I made a decision. I wasn't going to tell her. I was going to let her think she had a case, let her hire Gerald Stevens, let her pay his retainer, probably $15,000, maybe $20. Let her get confident. Let her make plans with Ryan about their new life, funded by my stupid ex-husband's inheritance. And then I was going to destroy her in court. I hired my own lawyer 2 days after I was discharged from the hospital. Her name was Patricia Moreno, and she was a partner at Moreno & Liu, one of the top family law firms in Los Angeles. She'd handled Jake's divorce, and he'd described her as ruthless in the best possible way. Walk me through everything, Patricia said when we met in her downtown office. I told her about the affair, about the embezzlement, about the inheritance. And you received this inheritance when exactly? 8 years ago, May 17th, 2017, 6 days before our wedding. Patricia's eyes sharpened. And it's in a trust? Yes, an irrevocable trust established May 20th, 2017. 2017. It's never been touched. Never commingled with marital assets. She leaned back in her chair. Mr. Patterson, under California Family Code, Section 770, any property acquired before marriage is separate property. It doesn't matter if you got married 6 days later or 6 years later. That inheritance is yours alone. What about the growth? It's worth more now. Still separate property, as long as the marital estate didn't contribute to the growth, which it didn't, since the money stayed in the trust and you used your own income for living expenses. So she gets nothing. From the inheritance? Nothing. Patricia smiled. But we can do better than that. Tell me about the embezzlement. I showed her Marcus's evidence, the bank statements, the emails, the secret account. Patricia studied them carefully. This is fraud, criminal fraud, potentially. She's been systematically stealing from a joint account and transferring it to a secret account shared with her affair partner. What can we do? We can request full restitution. We can petition for her to receive nothing in the divorce due to financial misconduct. And if you want to push it, we can refer this to the district attorney for criminal charges. I want to push it, I said. The divorce proceedings took 3 months to get to trial. 3 months of Claire living in our house. I'd moved into a temporary apartment, spending my money, sleeping in our bed, probably talking to Ryan every night about their future together. She hired Gerald Stevens with a $20,000 retainer that she paid from our joint account. I didn't stop her. I wanted her to spend as much as possible before reality hit. She started shopping more, designer bags, expensive dinners with friends. She bought a new car, a BMW 3 Series, $52,000, financed but with a down payment from our joint savings. She was spending like someone who knew she was about to be rich, like someone who'd already calculated her half of $47 million and decided $23.5 million was enough to live like a queen. My lawyer sent discovery requests. Claire's lawyer sent discovery requests. We exchanged financial documents, depositions, interrogatories. And through it all, I never corrected her assumption. I never said, actually, the inheritance isn't marital property. I let her believe. The trial was set for August 15th. Claire showed up looking like she'd just stepped out of a Vogue photo shoot. Designer dress, probably Prada, that I'd never seen before. Heels that added 3 inches. Jewelry that caught the light every time she moved. Her hair was different, freshened, expensively styled. She looked confident. She looked like a woman who'd already won. Ryan Kellerman sat in the back row of the courtroom. Moral support, I assumed. He wore a suit that probably cost $2,000 and a watch that cost more than my car. They didn't sit together, but I saw them exchange a glance when Claire walked in. Patricia sat beside me at our table, her notes organized, her expression calm. You ready? She asked quietly. Yes. The judge entered. The Honorable Martha Hernandez, Superior Court of Los Angeles. 62 years old, appointed to the bench in 2012, with a reputation for no-nonsense rulings and intolerance for games. We're here today for the dissolution of marriage between David and Claire Patterson, Judge Hernandez said. I've reviewed the filings. Let's proceed. Mr. Stevens, you represent the petitioner? Yes, Your Honor. Stevens stood, smoothing his tie. He looked like a lawyer from a TV show, polished, confident, expensive. Your Honor, this is a straightforward case. My client, Mrs. Claire Patterson, is seeking an equitable division of marital assets, including the recent inheritance received by Mr. Patterson during the course of their marriage. What inheritance? Judge Hernandez asked. Mr. Patterson inherited approximately $47 million from his late uncle. The inheritance was received in April of this year, well within the duration of the marriage, and therefore constitutes community property subject to equal division. Judge Hernandez looked at me. Mr. Patterson, when did you receive this inheritance? Here it was, the moment I'd been waiting for. Your Honor, I received notification of the inheritance in April of this year, but the inheritance itself, the actual estate, was established 8 years ago, in May 2017, 1 week before my wedding to Mrs. Patterson. The courtroom went silent. Claire's face drained of color. Stevens froze, his hand still on his legal pad. Elaborate, Judge Hernandez said. Patricia stood. Your Honor, if I may, the inheritance in question was established as an irrevocable trust on May 20th, 2017, 6 days before Mr. and Mrs. Patterson's wedding on May 26th, 2017. The trust was funded with assets from Richard Patterson's estate, which were designated to Mr. Patterson upon Richard Patterson's death in May 2017. She laid a document on the judge's bench. This is the trust documentation, showing the date of establishment and the funding date. Per California Family Code Section 770, any property acquired by a spouse before marriage is their separate property. Stevens grabbed Claire's arm. He was whispering urgently, but I could see the panic in his eyes. Your Honor, he stammered, standing. My client wasn't aware of the exact timing. The timing is dispositive, Patricia cut in smoothly. The inheritance is Mr. Patterson's separate property. It was acquired before the marriage. It has never been commingled with marital assets. Mrs. Patterson has no claim to any portion of it. Judge Hernandez studied the document. Mr. Stevens, did you conduct discovery on the date of the inheritance? We relied on the executor's notification date, Your Honor, April 2025. That was a notification of updated valuation, Patricia said, not the date of acquisition. position. The estate has been growing for 8 years in a separate trust. At no point did marital funds contribute to this asset. Claire started crying. Not the delicate tears of a sympathetic figure, but the ugly, gasping sobs of someone whose plans were disintegrating in real time. "This isn't fair," she said, her voice breaking. "He lied to me. He had millions and he lived like we were poor. He never told me." "Mrs. Patterson," Judge Hernandez said sharply. "Composure." "Your Honor," Patricia continued, and now her voice had an edge. "We're not finished. We'd like to address Mrs. Patterson's embezzlement of $43,600 from the marital account." Stevens went pale. "Your Honor, let her speak," Judge Hernandez said. Patricia pulled out a thick folder. "Over the past 14 months, Mrs. Patterson systematically withdrew cash and transferred funds from the marital joint account to a secret savings account. This account was opened in April 2024 and is held jointly with one Ryan Kellerman, Mrs. Patterson's supervisor and extramarital affair partner." She approached the bench and handed the judge a stack of documents. Bank statements showing systematic transfers, the secret account documentation showing both names, and email correspondence between Mrs. Patterson and Mr. Bixer Kellerman discussing the thefts and their plan to leave their respective spouses. The judge's expression darkened as she read. Patricia returned to our table and opened her laptop. "With the court's permission, I'd like to display some of this correspondence." "Proceed." The courtroom screen lit up. Email from Claire Patterson to Ryan Kellerman, March 18th, 2025, 10:42 p.m. "Took another $2K today from the joint account. David didn't notice. I transferred it this morning. We're at $41K now. Almost there." Ryan Kellerman's response, March 18th, 2025, 11:03 p.m. "Good girl. Keep it up. My lawyer says I need 6 months minimum for the divorce to finalize. We just need to hold out a little longer." Another email appeared. Claire to Ryan, January 9th, 2025, 3:17 p.m. "Sometimes I feel guilty. He's not a bad guy, just boring and broke." Ryan's response, "You deserve better. We both do. Don't lose focus." The courtroom was silent except for Claire's sobbing. I looked at Ryan in the back row. His face was gray. His hands were gripping the bench in front of him. "Your Honor," Patricia said, "Mr. Patterson is seeking full restitution of the $43,600 plus punitive damages for fraud and breach of fiduciary duty. He's also requesting that Mrs. Patterson receive 0 assets from the marriage due to her financial misconduct and infidelity." "Your Honor, please," Stevens started. Judge Hernandez held up a hand. "Mrs. Patterson, you knew you were taking money without your husband's knowledge, correct?" Claire couldn't speak. She just nodded. "And you transferred it to an account held jointly with another man." Another nod. "And you were planning to leave your husband and use these funds to start a new life with your affair partner." "I didn't," Claire's voice broke. "I didn't know about the inheritance. If I'd known he had millions, that's not relevant," Judge Hernandez said coldly. "Your husband's financial status doesn't justify theft." She looked at Stevens. "Does your client have any defense for this embezzlement?" Stevens looked like he wanted to sink through the floor. "No, Your Honor." Judge Hernandez closed the folder. "Here's my ruling. The inheritance of $47 million is Mr. Patterson's separate property under Family Code Section 770. Mrs. Patterson has no claim to it. The marital home will be sold and proceeds divided equally. Remaining marital assets will be split 50-50, minus the $43,600 Mrs. Patterson embezzled, which she will repay to Mr. Patterson in full within 90 days. Claire's sobbing intensified. "Additionally," the judge continued, "I'm ordering Mrs. Patterson to pay Mr. Patterson's legal fees." She glanced at a document, which currently total $18,000. "And I'm referring this matter to the district attorney's office for potential criminal prosecution for embezzlement and fraud." Stevens slumped in his chair. "Mrs. Patterson, you took money that wasn't yours, funneled it to an account with your affair partner, and filed for divorce to claim half of an inheritance you had no legal right to. That's not just misconduct. That's potentially criminal behavior." She looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw it all in her face. The shock, the disbelief, the dawning horror of what she'd done. Court is adjourned. Claire tried calling me that night. I was back in my apartment, soon to be my permanent residence, since I'd bought it outright the week before, when my phone lit up. Claire Sell. I let it ring. She called again and again. On the 4th call, I answered. "David, please." Her voice was wrecked, hoarse from crying. "Please, I'm sorry. I didn't know about the timing. I didn't know the money was from before we were married. We can work this out. We can start over. No, please. I made a mistake. I was confused. Ryan, he manipulated me. He told me, you stole $43,000. You had an affair for 7 months. You came to my hospital bed with divorce papers. I was scared. I thought you were hiding money from me. I wasn't hiding anything. You never asked." Silence. "David, I'm begging you. Don't let them prosecute me. I'll pay everything back. I'll sign whatever you want. Just please." "Did you beg when you were in hotel rooms with Ryan? Did you plead when you were spending my money on designer clothes and a new car? That's not fair." "You're right. It's not fair. But it's what happened." I hung up, blocked her number. The aftermath unfolded like dominoes. Ryan Kellerman's wife, Amanda, filed for divorce 2 weeks after the trial. Someone had sent her the courtroom emails. I didn't ask coup, but I suspected Patricia had a hand in it. Amanda took the kids, took the house, and took Ryan's reputation. His company, Maverick Solutions, quietly asked him to resign after the emails went semi-public within the industry. Turns out having an affair with a subordinate and conspiring to embezzle from her husband was bad for corporate optics. Claire moved in with her parents in Riverside. She got a job at Macy's, working retail, trying to scrape together enough money to pay me back the $43,600 and cover Stevens's legal bills, which totaled another $32,000 by the time everything was finalized. The DA's office opened an investigation but ultimately declined to prosecute. Insufficient evidence of criminal intent, they said, though the investigator told Patricia privately that it was more about limited resources than lack of guilt. I didn't push it. Claire was ruined enough. Ryan stopped returning Claire's calls about a month after the trial. I heard through Jake, who heard from someone else, that Ryan told Claire he couldn't be with someone so reckless. Ironic. 6 months later, I was sitting in my new house, a 4-bedroom in Santa Monica with an ocean view paid for in cash, when I got a LinkedIn message from Ryan Kellerman. I hope you're happy. You destroyed 2 lives over money you never even earned. Claire loved you and you threw her away like garbage. I hope the money keeps you warm at night because you'll die alone. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed a response. I didn't destroy your lives. You did that yourselves. I just made sure you couldn't profit from it. And for the record, I never threw Claire away. She threw me away the moment she decided $47 million was worth more than 8 years of marriage. You and she deserve each other. Unfortunately for both of you, neither of you can afford the lifestyle you planned. I hit send, blocked him, and that was that.